Hello and welcome to All Four Wins Football. We are back. We had a week off last week. Apologies for that, but it was a good rest. Nice one as well. But my God, does that mean we got a lot to talk about? So we better get in there because he's got to get a flight. So let's get going. That was not the button I meant to push. That was. Can we just forget that happened? Yeah, just rewind, and it's actually disappeared. That's all there it is. Worst intro ever. Ignore that. It's only better from here. Only better from here. Right. Let's throw that out. And that's a shame, really, because I did have a proper start to be had here, because Emily making an incredibly good point here. And I think that is the only place that we can start the show, really, sending all of our love and condolences to Missy Bo-Cans with the sad news that has come out this weekend. So we send all of our thoughts to her and her family there. But other than that, cheers for this, by the way. The delight is unbelievable. I will throw it back to you. Congratulations to Fulham as well, because they have done the same thing. So well done to Fulham and Stevenage. Indeed, we did make it through. We're there, the champions of the Eastern region. We were finally back in the WNL. So more on that, hopefully, in the middle of the week. Right. Anything else that anybody's saying here that's particularly interesting? Feel free to follow me as much as you like. Yes, Sean. Look at that. Not quite top of the running order, but you are there. We are going to mention it a little bit. So that's great news. But yes, congratulations. Just congratulations everywhere at the moment. Which is fantastic news. So well done there. Congratulations to Japan as well. We're going to get to that in a second as well. So many congratulations. My goodness. It's like being in Clinton's cards. Absolutely unreal. I don't know. I don't know, but that has reminded me of the group chat. So I'm going to move on from that. Have you done something with your hair, Liberty? It looks extra pretty today.
Thank you. It's washed. It's clean. It's just, well, I have naturally very curly hair from my grandma.
Me too.
So I kind of go between the two, and obviously today it's very curly. I'm not joking. I've straightened it. It's all straight because I'm going away tomorrow, so it's just easier if it's straight when I'm not at home. But thank you very much. That's very kind.
Indeed. How are you? Lovely to have you back.
I'm good. Best league in the world is back. So, I'm good. Between that and Europe, it's been a crazy week. But yeah, I'm very good. Thank you, Barry. Also, I was fully planning on being the first person to congratulate you for your successes yesterday. And then Claire jumped on my bandwagon. So, from me, very well. Congratulations for obviously you, because you obviously kicked the football a lot. No, for you and the entire team, well done. Very, very well done. But other than that, I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I mean, they have worked very hard, the girls. They really, really have. But it was, yes, a wonderful day yesterday. It went on for a very long time. And so it should. Freya, lovely to have you back with us as well. It feels like it's been an age. It's only 1 week that we've not been here. And just everything seems to have gone on. But how the bloody hell are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm currently being given lots of pens off my desk. So if you see me just talking to someone off the screen, it's the baby for a little bit. Thank you. Liberty, she was pointing at you with this pencil, so this is specifically for you. Yeah, good, thank you. Lots of baby brain things. So yeah, football was quite nice this weekend. And congratulations again, good sir. Wanted to pass it on in person.
I'm not going to lie, I'm never going to get tired of that one. I'm honestly so proud. It was a funny old day yesterday. But again, we'll mention more about that midweek when we get to our lower league lingo show, because that's where that one belongs. But, well, not the middle Not that you can't talk about the lower leagues here, it's just we've got too many leagues to talk about on here. If I started going on about that one, there'd be no space for Liberty to talk about the Damallsvenskan or what's going on in Australia or what's happening in Timbuktu's league that nobody's heard of before, and we're going to find that one out. All of that we have to make room for. So there we go. Somebody's been on a previous channel. Lovely to see you there. Look at that. Whew. Listen, we're going to kick off in Asia, just purely because of the time, but not the time that we've got to go, but the time that we've had. Obviously, that was a week ago. We were hoping to talk about that last Monday, but in the end, it just didn't quite come together. So let's throw that one out there. Liberty, we'll kick off with you on that one. I'm not convinced that very many people thought that Japan were going to be the winners of this game. I think most people thought Australia were likely to have the advantage, but I equally think you can't deny Japan. I think if you were to look over the whole tournament, probably the best team in it. So would you go along with that? It was a cracking goal as well. I think superb from Japan all through the tournament.
Well, I would like to say that I actually did say Japan were going to win the whole thing. Sorry to completely ruin what you've just said, but I did. You can't.
Most people, not everybody.
But yeah, 100%, you can't deny that they were the most consistent team across the entire tournament, with fewest goals conceded. Like, ended up being mostly clean sheets, which is just crazy in a major tournament, and also some outrageous goals. The final goal, outrageous, but also thinking Maika Hamano's goal in the semi-final as well, like 2 bangers from her. It's a team that everyone's always been aware that Japan have this talent. Obviously, we see it week in, week out in the WSL at this point, where we have so many Japanese players, but across Europe and across the world, and also in the NWSL, we've got amazing Japanese talent. And so it felt like the right time for Japan to sort of click into place. And it was like everyone's just right in the right time to, obviously win the Asia Cup, but also thinking ahead to, I can't believe I'm going to say this, we have a World Cup next year. And so to think about them going into now a World Cup cycle for them, obviously the Asia Cup is finished, that they are going to be a really scary prospect. I think we will immediately, our immediate brains will go, well, we're going to look at the US, Spain and England, but that fourth team that could well be up there is 100% Japan now. I don't think anyone at all can deny them. There's a lot of young players in this thank you. There's a lot of young players now that they've kind of let go of the older generation, which a lot of countries need to do. Australia in particular. Obviously, you can't deny the talent of Sam Kerr and Caitlin Ford and these players, but it gets to a point where this is probably going to be their last run at a World Cup to have like proper success. And then they're going to have to go through a similar thing that Japan have gone through, which is allowing the kids in, allowing the players who are 19, 20, 21, 22 to come in and remake the squad. And I think that they've done it right at the right time for both this Asia Cup win and then going ahead into the World Cup next year. Well, unfortunately, Couture, I don't know if you know this, but England did actually win the Euros last year, so I would 100% think they're among the favourites to win the World Cup next year. Like, I don't think you can really say that the Euros winners aren't favourites to win the World Cup.
And that's it. That was the end of the conversation. I thought there was going to be more. I felt like he had interrupted your train of thought, but he hadn't. That was just a postscript. Okay, lovely. No problems. That's on me. I should have paid more attention to what was happening there. Freya, we'll throw it all. It's coming home in 2031. For a minute, I thought that was Connor. It's not Connor. and so as a result, I think I was going to say what to Scotland, but then that didn't work. So there we go. It's coming home in 2031. Literally went to England. Right. Freya, same question to you, really.
Yeah.
It was honestly an unbelievable goal in the final. I mean, if you're going to win a game, sort of goal you want to win it with, it was just technically brilliant. What did you make of the Asia Cup?
Yeah, I think it's always a brilliant opportunity to discover more talent as well. And I know we're talking about the youth that are coming through and the changing of the guard in a lot of teams, but it's a really good, especially when you've got I don't even want to say fringe players, because you're right, there was a lot of players that didn't actually make it to this tournament who were incredible, who will be in contention for being picked next year as well. So it was, I think, some of the skill and the quality on display, but also what it meant to certain teams as well. So how well the Philippines did and how well India, for their development as a country, it was fantastic to see, despite everything, how far they got and how well they did. Because I know, again, I mentioned my friend Kai, who's in India at the minute, and they were just like, we scored. That's huge. Like, we didn't even expect that going into the tournament. So yeah, I think it was a tournament for that hit multiple goals for different teams, and I think showcasing it. But like you said, Hamano's goal, it just had to be, and I was so pleased it was Hamano who got it. For someone who has tried so hard to work on their development and getting those first team minutes and just really developing into the player that we can see was just phenomenal. So and it just felt like for Australia, it just wasn't happening, was it? And Caitlin Ford got a lot of heat and a lot of flack for missing opportunities, but it's against Japan. Like, they are going to stop you from scoring as well. So yeah, just a fantastic tournament for them.
Yeah, I thought it was superb. A genuinely really good tournament, and lovely, actually, to see that. I suppose people are more interested in the latter rounds in terms of the marquee matches, but all the way through, I think actually there were some really good results and a good competition. And again, one that we don't necessarily spend a huge amount of time looking at. So there we go. I'm sure there'll be more conversations as we move on in terms of content, because we will be looking at the international window in the next couple of weeks. So I'm positive that Japan and the Asian Cup will pop up again in that one with regards to who's made it through and all that sort of stuff. But yes, as we're looking up to what is going to be a big old World Cup, it's going to be amazing. And yes, it's wonderful, isn't it? It just keeps the engagement going as well on the comments. It's beautiful. So yeah, it's lovely. What a guest. Lovely to have. Right. I am going to stick though with Freya on the next one. We're going to sort of double. That's why we're going to do it. And we're going to pop straight back into the WSL, because it was a busy weekend in a lot of ways. There's been another little twist and a few more turns as well. Liberty's already mentioned about Kosovare Asllani with an unfortunate ACL injury that has happened over the course of the weekend. We saw, let's start off with a positive. What we did see was watchable football. Saturday, my God. And I don't mean watchable as in, I could just enjoy. I mean watchable as in my whole day was that if you go onto the All Women's Football X page, the amount of things I'm tweeting about, I had them all on the go. At one point, I had the phone going, I had it on the laptop, I had it on the iPad. I was everywhere. I was watching football all day. It was a wonderful Saturday for that. But in the WSL especially, they've gone, hang on a minute, we've got some derbies going on. Why don't we, fun fact, why don't we not put them all on at the same time and give people the chance to watch it? And
correct.
People did. Would you believe it? We had Everton against Liverpool. What a game that was. Everton leaving it a little bit too late to try and come back. And really wouldn't have needed to come back at all if they hadn't given it away entirely to Liverpool in the early parts. But yeah, big old game there. Then, of course, we had like a little Manchester derby. It wasn't that important, really. And after that, there was obviously Arsenal just teaching Tottenham Hotspur how to play football effectively there for a huge result And poor old Cop, that third one, I'm sorry. I mean, she just passed it to Russo. I don't know what she was thinking at that point. You've just got to rose-ed that. You can't be trying to be a cute pass with a ball that close to Russo. She will have you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on that one. But yeah, so a huge Saturday, really enjoyable. And then, of course, you know, whilst I'm in the middle of trying to enjoy Stevenage hopefully becoming the champions at the time, I'm being distracted by the fact that Chelsea have gone mental and allowed 3 goals in against Aston Villa. I'm like, surely not. 3-3 at half time. There's me thinking, oh, maybe it's not going to be that bad that we lost to Manchester City. And then, of course, you lose 4-3, which wasn't the most ideal of things. So around the top, some unbelievable football this weekend in the WSL. I've sort of put it in a nutshell with the exception of the other games on Sunday. But WSL for you this weekend, for me, possibly the best weekend of WSL football all season.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think we've had a lot of games lately that have been a bit like lackluster and a bit, I don't want to say mediocre, but you've just not really cared that much. Like, it's been made of moments, because of course we'll always talk about it. But yeah, it felt like this weekend something had shifted, and you actually wanted to watch from start to finish, and you were just engaged. And I don't know what it was, and I don't know if it was the kickoff times being so staggered, so you could enjoy one at a time and you weren't pushed to watch a multi-view or pick a channel and not have a clue what else was going on. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did go on a dog walk as soon as Liverpool's third goal went in. I was like, yeah, that's done and dusted. So when I came back in, I was like, oh, they ended 3-2. That was a shock. Because I think Liverpool, that's been coming for a while, getting those points back because their momentum has been growing. But to just go back to the Villa game, I would have said this last week, and we said it on our Villa pod, but we thought this is the week, if we're going to get anything from Chelsea, this is it, because they're in European football, they've got loads of injuries, they're playing people out of position, and I know Lucy Bronze again has got a lot of stick, as she always does from people. But again, she was out of position, and they still won. Of course they did. Lauren James. But yeah, you just get to a point where you're watching it and going, Villa have changed, Villa have grown, and the Villa of last season would have lost that about 7-1 because they, would have gone ahead, brilliant. And that's the only time we've scored Chelsea away. The second time, we've only scored against Chelsea away. And the last time was in 2022. So it's been a long time coming, those goals. But yeah, I just think the fact that we went ahead and we kept going and we kept pushing and we weren't intimidated was incredible. And I knew Kachua would be here. It's been all the comments through the chat. But at the end of the day, it was brilliant to see Chelsea look frustrated and look under pressure. And the same for City as well. They were fuming that they couldn't score against Villa. And it's like, I'm really, really happy that for ages, Villa have been the team of, it's Villa. Yeah, we'll win. Of course we will. And no one's really took them seriously. But now it's actually, let's be wary. Let's be cautious because we've got some fantastic players in there. I mean, Lynn Vilms was... what's behind? Right, can we stop with the Villa hit? Please, because what I will say as well, right, I'll finish that tangent later. The commentary bias of this weekend, right, I need to get out there because when Chelsea scored, it was, Villa's back line's disastrous. They've got some serious issues. Can't believe they've let in this many goals, blah, 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 blah. As soon as Villa score, the wind helped it on a bit there. Why can't we just have quality? Why can't we just have skill? So yeah, if you really look and you take away your bias, you will see that just the negativity around a Villa is insane. So yeah, but I think Kirsty Hansen is immense and needs to be protected at all costs. I saw the stats, and I don't know if anyone else did, that her stats this season are like rivaling Buddy Shaw's, and in fact are better in some aspects because Yeah, you probably looked at the same graphic, Liberty. But it was, she's had, what was it, less shots but more conversions or something like that compared to Bunny Shaw. And you just
Bunny's
think,
had,
yeah,
sorry, Bunny's had over 100 and 100 and I want to say 108, something between 100 and 110
yeah,
shots, and has X amount of goals. Kirsty Hansen has 58 and has less goals than Bunny, but is really close behind her. I think she's got like 10 in nearly, well, just under half the amount of shots. It's just insane, like genuinely crazy.
yeah. And for everyone who initially was like, "Oh, get Arroyo out, they're not winning," and it's like, no, she's good. Like she's really pushing the team. And like I was saying about Lynn Vilms just there, you know, when she came in, everyone knew what she was all about. But and she showed a quality, but then it kind of petered off a bit. But the game at the weekend was incredible, and I just think it's brilliant to say that Villa can now compete with the bigger teams and can actually almost get results as well. And I thought that was the game. If just that final one didn't go in from Chelsea, but also Anna Patton had a chance in like the last minute of stoppage time. And if she just connected with that was going in. And he just thought, if that would have finished 4-4, that would have been an incredible game. But I was talking to Adam Salter, who people will know from Arsenal history records and things, and he said he can't remember seeing a 6-goal game at halftime ever. So yeah, setting records the whole time. But yeah, just really proud of the team for what they produced and how much they've grown. But yeah, what a weekend of football. Thoroughly enjoyed myself.
It was. I think it was a really big, massive weekend of football, actually. And for those that were wondering why I was doing all this, I'm not paying attention, but I'd seen this comment, and it was nothing to do with what was actually written, but I just remembered that I'd written down how to say your name, and I was looking for the piece of paper where I'd written that down, so that I knew it was Sipiwe. So there we go. So that's what I was going for. And I found it. So there we are. Very proud of myself for my eagle eyes. Just there. Watch. They'll come in now and go, that's not how you say it. I'll have to rewrite it. But there we go. Okay, we go. Liberty, same question to you, really. Let's look a little bit at some of the other games as well. Because obviously massive for Chelsea to get that. It's catapulted them back into the top 3. It would have been absolutely terrible if for them had they not got a win over Aston Villa, with United dropping points in the way they did. Arsenal, of course, having no such trouble, breezing past Spurs in that respect. City, of course, with their win. I mean, I said it last time. I know you don't agree with me, but the title was gone. You know, we know that's been the case for a long time, even though you say otherwise. But yeah, I've told that lie so often now. I can't even tell whether you really did or you didn't. I've hit that point where I would actually need to see physical proof that it was me that said that. But it's been an interesting one. The top 3 race, it could very well go down to the last game of the season. It really does depend on where we're going. But we are looking at, and I say this not to be disrespectful to the Chelsea fans in the chat, but Chelsea at the moment are a wounded animal. Like, this is not a Chelsea we are used to seeing. For the fact that they've conceded 3 goals in one half against, and again, no disrespect to the lady on the right, but to a mid-table side, is unlikely, unusual. But yeah, it's something that's happened. And it feels like a really weird WSL this season in terms of what's going on. I don't think anybody really predicted that Manchester City were going to be the team that were flying at the top of the league. I think more people would have expected Arsenal to have done better at the beginning part of the league. And yet now they are, running into form, which is a very traditional way of playing league football, by the way, to sort of the United men were always rubbish until Christmas effectively, and then boom, put the foot on the accelerator for the second half of the season. So absolutely something quite regular here as well. it's been a little bit of a mad one, really, and you still don't know where to lay your hat. But what did you make of it? I thought it was a superb weekend of football.
Yeah, I think it was the most interesting weekend of the WSL in, honestly, a couple years. Maybe. I think we've had interesting games, but across every single game, we've not had it nearly this interesting. We also haven't had movement in the top three in weeks, like since January, I don't think. And obviously, we now have City still at the top, Chelsea 9 points behind them on 40, and then Arsenal and United are on the same points, but Arsenal ahead on a much better goal difference. I think it's like 6. Interestingly, Arsenal have +6 goals on both Chelsea and United, which would also be really interesting when once again we consider that Arsenal have these 2 games in hand. And I'm not writing off neither Leicester nor Brighton in those games, because genuinely anything can happen. We saw last year when Arsenal focused on getting to the Champions League final, what happened. And I think we being Arsenal, obviously, are in a much better position now with the squad than then. But like, we lost those 2, the game to Villa and the Brighton game, in such a dramatic fashion that we've never really seen from Arsenal, at least not in those kind of games, because they were looking at the Champions League final. Whereas I think this year, no matter how far we go in Europe, whether we get past Chelsea this week and then into the semis, I still think they're going to be in a better position to finish out the league stronger, without writing off neither Brighton nor Leicester. I think even down to, obviously, Saturday was interesting across the 3 games, but then even like West Ham getting a point and then Leicester losing to Brighton 1-0 really is gonna. I'm assuming you're giggling at the Fulham comment and not something I said. Okay, because I was thinking I didn't say anything funny. But the fact that West Ham got a point at home against London City, who, other than Leicester, have had the least amount of points since January, I think I read. Since the new manager came in, they've got the least amount of points other than Leicester, which is insane. But the fact that they could salvage a point, both goals are very good, by the way. Like, only 2 goals in that game in a weekend of lots of goals, but very good goals. But the fact that West Ham could get a point we're looking at the top 4 changing, but then also you're thinking West Ham is still being able to pull away from Leicester, which at the beginning of the season, up until December, we were thinking that's not even possible. Now Leicester are really, really falling behind, and Red's stat is like something like 90% chance that they're going to be finishing last or something, which I don't know how they work that stuff out, but I'm not a mathematician. But yeah, somebody said Arsenal, I think it was Claire, Arsenal dominant. It was Claire. I was scared that we were going to throw that game away and we were going to draw or lose, because I think that Spurs in the last half an hour really put the foot on the gas. I think once Caldente came off, which is absolutely needed because, she's running on fumes anyway, we just lost a foot in the game, which kind of happens a lot because she is the sort of anchor, but you lose a lot of control when you don't have her. And it did feel like Spurs stepped up a gear. Everyone's saying, why didn't Beth England come on sooner? Why didn't she start? Completely agree. I think she also changed the game in that sort of, we lost control, they gained it because they had Beth England on. 100% agree. And absolutely can't take anything away from her goal. It was brilliant. Also, Van Domselaar had a very good save from her as well. It easily could have been like 3-3 and finished the game there. They had some really good chances. The difference was we just got the 4th and the 5th just to... Did we fit? Yeah, 5-2. Couldn't remember what the score was for a second there. We just shored it up a little bit, especially the 4th goal. from Caitlin Ford, her first WSL goal in, I can't even remember how long at this point. Yes, Beth England is a sub at this stage of her career, but why wasn't she brought on sooner? I'm not saying she should start every game, but why was she not brought on sooner than she was? I'm not going to sit here and say, Kathinka Thunberg is not a starter. She is. She may be a Spurs player now, but I'm biased towards her. I still am. But why was the game not read better and seen that somebody like Beth England has come on way sooner, especially when Arsenal were losing control that we saw before she came on? How with the gifts like that from Cop, how could you lose? Have you watched Arsenal play? We like to make life hard for ourselves. We don't make it easy. Quite easily, we could have drawn, maybe not lost, but drawn that game. I think, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of we need to win this game to keep top 3 in our hands. I'm not sure how much I agree with that, considering we still have these 2 games in hand, but it does make life easier. And we were up to second for like 12 hours, which was really nice. And we were second when Chelsea was scoring on that goal difference I mentioned earlier. But it does mean that maybe there's less pressure on some games going forward. No, we're not the best team in Europe, because the best team in Europe is still Barcelona. Like, I don't really know how you can look at Barcelona's results against Real Madrid in the last week and not think they're the best team in Europe. But we're a good team in Europe. Once again, I'm biased. I'm not going to say we're terrible, but we're not the best. But yeah, I think very interesting. I think that I got quickly on to Chelsea. I think going from the London City draw in quite dramatic fashion, as in like late on and stuff, to then losing to Arsenal midweek, with all the controversy and the sort of emotional headache as such, and the like emotional headache and hangover, that's what I meant to say, to then go and have this sort of last home game at Kingsmeadow, maybe the last ever, league game at Kingsmeadow, if reports are to be believed. It's a lot, and then to go, and we have to play Arsenal again, and then they have to play Spurs in the FA Cup with a really thin squad. Like, there was a lot of talk at the beginning of the season of Arsenal, excuse me, what would Arsenal look like without the Australian players? How much would losing those 3 hurt them? Obviously, losing Steph Catley was the big one in the end, because Kyra's been away and Ford's not really been herself at all this season, other than the Champions Cup goal. But the real headache in the WSL, I'd say, is Chelsea losing Ellie Carpenter, but more importantly, Sam Kerr. A friend of mine is a Chelsea fan, and he said, what do you make of the game, obviously, after Wednesday? And I said, Chelsea need a striker, like an actual striker. It's not working. And the fact that they've got Sam Kerr back for this game, really, for yesterday, was really testament to that. And she obviously gets her goal. And it's really interesting what the Arsenal game at Stamford Bridge on Wednesday looks like. I realised we played Tuesday and I said Wednesday, sorry. But what the game on Wednesday at Stamford Bridge looks like, and then the Spurs game at the weekend before the international break, because it could be a testament to Chelsea going through the rest of the season, especially if, Beaver Jones is injured. She was injured in the London City game. Kat Macario is now left for the NWSL. Who else? Ramirez is still missing in action. It's interesting what Chelsea will look like if essentially Sam Kerr is their only actual 9 going forward, and she's still less than a year back from an ACL tear, a really bad one at that. But yeah, very fruitful weekend of discussion.
It really was. And Kat Macaroni, if you please. we're not forgetting that name. That's sticking, I'm afraid. But yes, I think unreal. And it's nice that you mentioned Wednesday or Tuesday, whichever day you want of those, because that's the next stop. Obviously, we are right in the middle of the Champions League, and there's some huge things happening there. So I kind of want to ask you guys the same sort of question, really. I will let you go first, Liberty, on my whole. We're going to go ABBA, ABBA, effectively, in that version. But 4 very big results in midweek, and obviously the reverse fixtures taking place during this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, big games. Wolfsburg with, I think it's fair to say, I don't know, I'm going to just double check, a shock win over Lyon. Yeah, okay, she's nodding. Good. I'm always pleased when she nods when I say things. Makes me feel like I haven't completely made stuff up. But I think that was, quite a big one. Then, of course, you had Barcelona just absolutely bopping Real Madrid at their own gaff, 6-2. Arsenal winning 3-1 against Chelsea, and Manchester United losing 3-2 against Bayern. So, big questions there. Do we think that the teams that have won the first leg are likely to be the teams that progress at the end of the second leg? I mean, I think we're all going to say yes when it comes to Barcelona without doubt, because that is a ridiculous turnaround that Real Madrid would need, and I don't think they've got it in them. But certainly in the other 3 games, all of them are, potentially on a knife edge. You would think that Lyon would do better at home. You would think that United Bayern, I think if that game proved anything, it was that both teams can score, but both teams can concede as well. And of course, with Arsenal against Chelsea, it's Chelsea. You just never know if they turn up. Could end up being a really big one. So, your thoughts on that one, Liberty? What do you see the Champions League looking like? The Champions League semi-final specifically.
I'm going to say this before anyone asks, because I know someone's going to ask. The first Chelsea goal should have stood. I don't think it's a foul on Cadena. I don't really know why that's been ruled out, but VAR can't unrule it out because it's not a clear and obvious error in their eyes, because it's not like Cadena didn't go down at all. That's why VAR actually can't do anything in that situation. But it shouldn't have been ruled out to begin with. The third goal, the Buchanan goal, she literally nearly commits grievous bodily harm on Borba. It should be ruled out, and she should have had a red card. Before anyone asks, that's my opinions on those. First one should have stood. Second one is grievous bodily harm, and it should have been ruled out on a red card. And our good friend Rob said it should have stood and been a red card. No, it shouldn't have stood and been a red card. It should have not stood and been a red card. Not that Rob's here, but if anyone saw his tweet, that's that on that. Back to the question at hand before somebody. That's that. It wasn't actually. I'm sorry, Tony. It's not already in the net. It's really not. Anyway, moving on. I think Lyon will probably. It's not already over the line. Anyway, I'm not looking at the comments. I'm going to actually change to the private chat so they can't distract me. I think Lyon. Well, actually, Lyon drew yesterday to Strasbourg, and it was 2-1. And then there was a late equaliser from Lyon. The second goal was scored by Amber Barrett of the Republic of Ireland. If anyone didn't see that one. But I think Lyon will probably turn it around, even if it is a 2-0 win. Wolfsburg have struggled to keep clean sheets for most of the season, so then to go keep a clean sheet against Lyon was really quite impressive, but I don't really think it's going to upstand. I do think Lyon will probably get a 2-0 win, especially at home. Barcelona are already, a foot in the semi-final. I don't think there's really anything that could happen there, especially being it's their first game back at the Camp Nou. There's going to be some 50,000 fans cheering them on. I like Wolfsburg got hurt in their own backyard in a small stadium, a bigger pitch at the Camp Nou, 50,000 odd fans, maybe more by the time it comes around. Barcelona are probably going to hurt them again, especially seems as yesterday they won 3-0 once again in Madrid. isn't it funny how scheduling works, that they got them 3 times in a row? I think Bayern Man United could once again be a decently close game, like it was in Old Trafford, at Old Trafford even. I think Bayern will probably win by 1 goal, but I do think it's still going to be very tight. I think Bayern have shown that despite having good defensive record in the league, it doesn't necessarily upstand in the same way in the Champions League when you're facing better opponents. But I think this will be their first time getting to the semi-finals, unfortunately for United, but I do think it'll be like 1 goal. Arsenal-Chelsea, I'm so undecided. If you'd have asked me if Chelsea had a really easy game yesterday, I would probably say maybe they overturn it. I don't think getting 3 goals at home is necessarily impossible. I think because they really struggled yesterday and the defence was as poor as it was, and we're seeing players that do not make mistakes making quite obvious defensive mistakes, and other players just not looking very much like themselves. That I really don't know. I think maybe it's a goal in it and Arsenal win it like by a single goal. I think I really don't know. It will be Borber in goal for Arsenal unless something happens between now and Wednesday. And I think that somebody asked me about Van Domselaar earlier. I was waiting for this moment to say about the two. I think that Borber edges Van Domselaar at the moment based purely on match fitness and the fact that she's literally played more consistent games and had better results. And she was upstanding that until Saturday, we hadn't conceded a goal in the WSL since December, which would have been the Everton game, which was the last one before Christmas, I want to say. Not conceded a goal in the WSL in nearly 3 whole months. I just think Borber edges her on match fitness, but I still think to have both of them as an option for your keeper is incredible. And if Borber doesn't get a Germany call-up in the next camp for next week, I'm going to be... but yeah, that's what I think. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah, it made a reasonable amount of sense. It'll do. And if it didn't, it's tough because it's done now. So there we are. VAR has intervened on that one, that's for sure. Freya, we'll throw the same question over to you. How do you see the semi-finals? Oh, I thought she was going to go then. It was very interesting with what Emily's just put through. Because she reckons it's going to be Arsenal, United, Lyon, and Barcelona. I'm quite intrigued by that. I mean, I'd love to see what she has seen with regards to United on that one. I'd love to say I am as confident. I'm hopeful. I'm certainly not confident. Not in 1,000,001 different ways. We don't know. We'll find out from Art Skinner, but I'm not convinced she will be. So, with that in mind, what's your thoughts? Where are you seeing it?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same track as Liberty, to be fair. I can't see Chelsea doing enough in that second leg. I think they might come back into it. I think they might maybe have 1 or 2 goals if they're really angry from the weekend and they want to get it back. But yeah, I think Arsenal are just edging that one at the minute. I think they are the better side. With Bayern Man United, I think obviously that's the closest one, isn't it, in terms of how it ended. I think Bayern are going to edge it because they've got Jupiler Harders. They've got that outlet up front that I know United are missing at the minute. And just I think Bayern have got enough to do it. I'm just looking. I think Lyon would have been incredibly shocked by that Berenstein goal being the decider in the first leg. So yeah, I think like Liberty said, I think Lyon are gonna come back with a vengeance on home turf. I really do. And yeah, Barcelona are just gonna walk it. So yeah, pretty much same thoughts really. But I do think, I mean, I want United in the sense I would love them to get it for another name in there and a different team and to go up against Bayern and do it and to win. But yeah, I just think at the minute, I think Bayern might just have that edge, especially on home ground.
Yeah, it's a shame. We United are devoid of confidence at the moment. It certainly seems that way, and that's certainly not going to help. But as I did say on the other channel, it only takes an early goal. You know, Bayern got one against United, and that set them off on their way. A nice goal would be unreal nice. Early one there as well. Listen, I'm going to be giggling if Chelsea get knocked out by Arsenal. So just want you all to know that. That whilst I sit here and I'm incredibly neutral, you guys are the people I think about. And when it happens, I guffaw. That is the word I would use. And it frustrates me that I might actually want Arsenal to win that game. But that's the level I've been put into, and I'm not convinced I enjoy that. I don't like it. In an ideal world, you both get disqualified. But yeah, there we are. Such is life. So there we go. Fun facts. But yeah, okay. No. Well, I think you might be wrong there. I think you could never discount Chelsea at all, personally. But it's just nice. I love it. Honestly, I've not seen this side of you yet, Couture, but it's a bit whingy. I'm not going to lie. It's a bit whingy. Just have to take it on the chin. Can't always blame the refs. I'm not going to laugh. This feels good. Let's move on to the Europa Cup, shall we? Sparta Prague and Hammarby. Bit of a tidy match going on there with a 3-2 win from the Hammers. And I don't even know if that's a nickname they could have, but it is now. And Eintracht Frankfurt, no goals at all. So it's currently Sweden 6, other countries 2, with Häcken winning 3-0 there. Are we on our way to an all-Swedish final, Freya?
I lost my microphone a minute. Hello. Not gonna lie, I once again forgot this was a thing. So I think I'm just having a look. Hang on. Yeah, Hamby 3. Yeah. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I think unless I mean Prague might come back into that. That's a bit closer, isn't it? But I think, yeah, the way Hammarby and Häcken are going, I think unless Frankfurt show up in the second leg, I think that one's pretty done and dusted, because it's the mentality as well, isn't it? Kind of coming into it of, oh God, we're 3-0 down. Like, this is what we need to do and how we need to perform. So yeah, it's looking likely, isn't it? But I know Liberty will have all of the gossip from that round. So I'll let her take over.
Indeed. So we are going to throw it over to you, Liberty. What's your thoughts? Is it going to be an all-Swedish final? And touching on what Uncle Dub said here, once you finish that, you might as well go into your Damallsvenskan monologue, because I'm fairly certain, I could completely be wrong here, but I don't think myself or Freya really got anything to add to that.
Thank you very much. I think I said this before the semi-finals. I am an avid watcher of both BK Häcken and Eintracht Frankfurt, and I couldn't call it before because I said it depends on which Frankfurt turn up on the day. Now, actually, the wrong Frankfurt turned up on the day because they didn't score anything, and they were coming off of a inconsistent time in the league and in the German Cup. And I think that Häcken, before this point in 2026, hadn't been truly tested in a competitive game. They breezed through their Svenska Cupen group very well. They had a harder time against Djurgården in the semi-finals, but still ended up getting over the line in extra time. And then had this game, and Frankfurt didn't do anything. Like, it was just the Felicia Skruder show in the end, as it seems to always be. She scored again in the league, which I'll talk about in a second. But I think it's going to be at home on Wednesday. I think Häcken will just do enough to get, like, even if they go 1-0, and then, they did, but this was before they struggled against BP. I'll talk about that in a minute, Tony. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I think that they'll just do it, like, even if they get 1 goal and it's 4-0 on aggregate, then they can, like, make all the changes and, just go really defensive, because they did all the work in the first game to get those 3 goals. I don't really think that that Frankfurt will do enough to get 3, let alone 4. So I think that, they have 1 foot in the final already. At the top of the show, Tony said, can't wait for Liberty to talk about Fanny Peterson. I'm going to do that now. 2 very good goals from the 16-year-old. It's insane how young she is. She's not 17 until October. She's like a full-on child. She's younger than my sister. But she scored the 3rd against Sparta Prague. An unbelievable, just like first-time hit from the edge of the box, which is like the 3rd time she's done that now. Once again, she is 16. To salvage a point, because we'd gone 1-0 up. Then it was 2-1, and I'm thinking, oh my God, we've thrown this away. Then it was 2-2, then 3-2, obviously. To go back home to play a second consecutive game at the 3 Arena, obviously after yesterday's game, the season opener there, I think that Hammarby will just have that extra edge. The fans will probably turn up in decent numbers. It will be loud. That they will just do enough, having that 1-0 advantage. And I do think it will probably be an all-Sweden final, which means there will be 3 final matches between Häcken and Hammarby alone this season, without considering the 2 games they'll play each other in the actual league, which I think shows that they are the best 2 teams in Sweden at the moment. I think Malmö are getting close, and they now are top of the table because they scored the most this weekend. They're only 1 on goal difference. They're only 1 above. They're only top above Hammarby on goal difference. But I do think that they just, Häcken and Hammarby have that slight edge, at the edge of having European experience, having, even for Hammarby, not their whole squad is not playing in Europe. Vivian Leah, who's obviously on loan from Arsenal, didn't make the Europe squad because she joined Hammarby a day too late to turn in the paperwork for Europe. Bit confusing, but they have players that are not even going to be playing this game against Sparta Prague, but will be playing in the league, will be playing in the that was playing in the Svenska Cup and stuff. So I do think that it'll probably be an all-Sweden final, which will be really interesting, because I can't recall a European final between 2 clubs from the same country ever. But I may have to ask Adam about that, because he'll probably remember better than me. But I can't remember it. I can't even remember it in men's football. Wait, did Liverpool not play Spurs one time in a final? Did that happen, or did I make that up in the men's football? Somebody, please tell me I'm wrong if that's not actually true. But yeah, I do think it would probably be an all-Sweden final, which would be also really interesting because, as I've said before, the Svenska Cupen final was not played on neutral grounds, except for the men's. The men's final this season actually is being played on neutral grounds. Thank you. Yes, I knew I wasn't imagining it. I knew it had happened. That's the only time I recall it happening in football in Europe. I don't even remember. Hello.
I can confirm, a short Google tells me, just going to double check I'm not making an idiot of myself. No, I'm not. I don't think. 2016-17, Lyon played Paris Saint-Germain at Cardiff City Stadium in Wales, which was an all-French UWCL final, but that appears to be, from what I can see, and the Germany one as well, 0506, when FFC Frankfurt played Turbine and Potsdam as well.
Thank you.
So twice is the answer to your question, Liberty.
I would like to say that I don't remember those, so that's why I said.
Of course you wouldn't. You're far too young and amazing for that. That's why the old dinosaurs here.
Especially the 0506 one, because I was literally 3 years old. Don't think about how old I am. What was I saying? Yeah, the Svenska Cupen final for the men's is being played on neutral grounds for I don't know if it's the first time, but it's the first time I remember, because the two teams actually requested it. So it's going to be played at the Strawberry Arena, which is sort of like I have the impression it's sort of like the national stadium. It's in Stockholm, Barry. It's not the national stadium because they play club football there, but it's a neutralish ground. Thank you, Tony. It's the first time it's been played on neutral grounds. So I'm wondering if that will, basically what I'm trying to say is, I'm wondering if going from next season, it is the National Arena. Oh, I did actually have that right. Sorry, I surprise myself sometimes. I wonder if that will trickle into the women's game from next season, if it becomes a regular thing, because this season Hammarby have been given the home advantage to play at the 3 Arena, which very much makes sense if you consider the crowd that Hammarby will bring in Stockholm compared to Gothenburg, where Häcken play. However, the 2-part final in Europe will make a really interesting balance, because it will be really interesting to see which city turns up more. Obviously, Hammarby have the best support in Sweden, but Häcken are decently well followed as well. So it'd just be very interesting to see what that looks like compared to the Svenska Cupen final, which will only obviously be one off. There was also now I don't know if it's the Strawberry Arena or it is a different place, but there's also a Friends Arena stadium that I remember in reading about in Sweden. I'm sure that Uncle Tony will tell me if that is right or wrong, but I remember that being a thing, or maybe that was a sponsor. I'm not sure, but there was a Friends something. Was the old sponsor. Thank you. I knew it was something, but it's very sweet anyway. I'm going to stop rambling about Europe now. I'm going to very, very quickly say some highlights from the opening weekend of the Damallsvenskan. It was the opening weekend. Oh, I see. So it was called the Friends Arena before. I was right. And then it got bought and then they changed the name or something like that. I remember reading that. Anyway.
Listen, I have to say this now. Currently, I'm sat here in this little loving that you lot are having, knowing everything that's going on in Sweden. At this moment in time, I feel like there is a Swedish arena that was originally sponsored by a 90s American sitcom, now sponsored by a fruit.
I think it's like a charity or something, and then it got bought. I don't really know. But I remember reading that because it was like a big drama, because it was like something good and then it got bought by billionaires and then it was bad. And then traditional Swede Scandi style, they didn't like it because it was really good before with the Friends, and then it wasn't because of Strawberry is just greedy billionaires. I'm going to talk about the league now. I'm going to be really, really quick.
Yes, some people have got planes to catch.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm going really, really quick. Häcken just about won 3-2 over BP. As Uncle Tony said earlier, they struggled more. Skudra still bloody scored. Of course she did. Hammarby won 3-1 over Rosengard. All 4 goals were scored by Hammarby players, because the Rosengard one was a bloody own goal. And also a really unfortunate own goal where she turns and is she's just accidentally shot directly into her own net. Got to feel bad for her. If you haven't seen the Vivian Lear, as I said earlier, got a goal and assist inside 10 minutes in her first league game in Sweden. Very, very well done. If you're an Arsenal fan, obviously I think most Arsenal fans are aware of her name, but still very, very, very positive. Malmö won 3-0 over Uppsala. who were promoted this season. So a bit of a rough start for them. But your first game to be a team that finished in the top 3 last season is probably going to be a bit of a challenge, even though Malmö had a really rough Svenska group stage and didn't even get out the groups there when I think, most people are assuming they would. They didn't. They had a really hard time. They finished 3rd. And my other highlight was, right. Once again, as ever, I looked up how to say this because this is a new name for me, but I may get it wrong. A newly promoted team, Eskilstuna, which is a city, and I did look it up, but now I looked it up about an hour ago and it's gone out of my head. Eskilstuna. Anyway, United, who themselves, Eskilstuna United, won 2-1 in their first game back in the Damallsvenskan. They were relegated in 2019 based on money. They couldn't pay for it, and then a different team got promoted instead because basically couldn't pay for it, which is a running theme in historical Damallsvenskan things, because a lot of it is just like they can't pay for it. But so they were promoted back up this season, obviously can now pay for it, and they won in very dramatic fashion 2-1. In the 90 plus 4th minute, they scored the second goal to secure their first win, and they were top of the table for like 12 hours because they played on Saturday, and it was like, oh, new team top of the table. But then Hammarby and Malmö destroyed that and were like, but now they're 3rd, so good start. Because they lost, because of economic reasons, which is a consistent team with some teams without the sort of like big male backing in the Damallsvenskan. Those were the highlight reels, and I wanted to say this is the first time that I've come across a team in Sweden with United in their name. And as somebody coming from English football who is like everyone's West Ham United, Manchester United, everyone's bloody United, it was very surprising that this is the first time in nearly 3 years that I've come across a team who are United. Just thought though. At first, I Googled them to make sure that it was right, because I actually thought that I was seeing things. And also to make sure that they spelt it like United, like the way we would, and it wasn't like a different spelling. And I was like, oh, this is the first time I've come across a Swedish United team. It's just very silly for me. And I am gonna breathe and get some water, and I'm done.
Okay, before you go, you're gonna have to give me a Hammarby. You haven't given me a proper way.
Oh, sorry, I was Hammarby. Is that good enough for you?
Got to have that every week. That's lovely. There we go. Freya, I'm throwing you over to Wales at this point, which was an unexpected journey for you. But Sean was right, and it is something we do need to mention, because in the world of Wales, this is big news. You have the Adran Premier, which of course has been dominated generally by teams from Cardiff. Cardiff Met winning it 6 times, Cardiff City winning it 4. And of course Swansea City winning it 6 times. So, the sort of places you would expect in Wales winning it all. But this year there has been a brand new winner. We've got a 4th ever winner of the Adran Premier. And I just wondered what you thought about Wrexham managing to win the Adran Premier. Because for me, from an outside looking on, I don't know what it is for you as well, but we've seen sort of the Ryan Reynolds and the ownership effect that Wrexham have had on the men's side. Do you think there's a little bit there of that now dripping into the women's side as well? Have they, do you think, had a bit more investment? Obviously, they're investing quite well because they took Sean from us and put him onto there. I think it's really good for them. Is that something that you are seeing? And let's be honest, whatever the reason, it's good to see a different winner of any league, because it shows that there is some form of investment going on or some form of differentiation. It's always nice. But yeah, I'll throw it over to you. Adran Premier, Wrexham, winning it for the first time.
Yeah, I saw this all over my feeds as soon as the game had finished. And he has champions everywhere, and I immediately thought of Sean. And I was like, "Yep, he's going to be absolutely buzzing at what's happening." And I had to do quite a bit of research into it, because we kind of see again issue with it being accessible and me just trying to follow 75 different leagues. So yeah, looking into it, what was really lovely was actually all the comments on social media from Wrexham fans been like, we can't believe the difference. We're so proud of the team and how it's grown. You can see the investment coming through. Because I was reading about they've purchased the stadium for the women's side, so it's theirs. And I saw someone put from playing on a tier 3 council pitch to winning the Welsh Premier and qualifying for the Champions League is a remarkable achievement. The owners set out to get it done, and they've done it just like everything else at the club. So I think to have that feeling across your club for your men's and women's teams must be incredible. Because there's so many times where you look at the men's side and you go, they've got so much money and they're just, don't know what they're doing with it, and the women's side have got nothing. So to have a club that's kind of committed to developing the men's and the women's side is phenomenal. But yeah, it's the first time the title's been in North Wales, which is incredible, because again, you think surely there must have been others, but no, first time in North Wales. And against Cardiff, like you said, 4-1 wasn't even like a last minute winner or anything like that. But yeah, dominated throughout, came from behind as well. And you just think to have that ability to not only have the belief in yourself once you have gone a goal behind to get back into the game, but to then go into it and then really, really dominate and take chances. And I know Cardiff City had a player sent off as well. And there was a couple of arguments about their celebrations being a bit disrespectful and all that. But yeah, it's got to a point where you're seeing that change in Welsh football. I know when Sean was on and he was talking about, there's a fantastic player pool that just needs to be pushed and challenged and developed to then come through into the national team. And why aren't there more, Welsh players from the Adran League into the national side? And I think if this keeps going and that development keeps going and that investment, I feel like this is it, and this is the time for it. So not just your usual winners, of course, but like you said, lovely to have another name, and shows that investment does indeed pay off. So yeah, massive congratulations to Wrexham for that one, doing a lot of people proud with that win.
They really did, and I think it's a huge things happening in Wales. We spoke to Sean a lot about this in his time contributing to the channel, and I think it's quite something, and I think it will show the growth of the division. You need that. You need to have more than one side that can get involved and be fighting for a title, and I think that's absolutely spot on. And with regards to the celebrations, it's really difficult, actually. And I don't want to hark on about this, but obviously we won a division yesterday, and that was really difficult because Liberty's laughing, but she won't be when I finish the sentence. The side that we were playing were relegated when we won the game. See, I told you, look at that. It's from joy. It's like comedy and tragedy all in the one bit there. And they were a really nice side, Hutton. They really were. Lovely manager, lovely girls. And it's very difficult because you had both sides of the coin there, but they were so respectful. And was it the right thing that the Wrexham player said? Probably not. Maybe didn't need to record it, perhaps, and throw that out on your social media. Possibly only ever going to get negativity from Cardiff fans on that one. But by the same token, I mean, they did crumble a little bit under the pressure that Wrexham were put in there. So, I think sometimes you just got to take it. At the end of the day, they were the better side over the season. And, maybe thicker skins required on that one. So, yes, congratulations to Wrexham. The emotion of the situation entirely takes you over. like yesterday was a really weird one for me, because having got all of the media duties out of the way and worrying about just getting the girls and getting them for their run out and everything, obviously at that point, once we'd introduced them all again and they'd done a big cheer, they went off to go start signing things, and a couple of people in the crowd started talking to me, and all of a sudden I'm getting a bit emotional. I'm going to go and get the VO down. I can't stay over this side anymore, because the adrenaline of just getting through it gets you, so your emotions go, and you don't really have control of yourself in the manner that you would like to have. So I'll put it down to that, I think, on that one. Right. Sticking with you, Frey, we're going to go over to the A-League very quickly. So from Wales to America, Australia would be the better place to go. You're not going to get the A-League in America. They might call it the A-League, even though it's the NWSL. But yeah, over to Australia, where the A-League is, Frey, because they're nearing the end at the moment, and they've got one game left before they end up in their little playoffs. They're looking to pronounce their premiers. The premiers have been decided, actually. Having said that, Melbourne City will win the league in that respect, but there will, of course, be the playoffs. Now, the top two sides will miss a round effectively, so 4 teams will play for the right to play those top 2 sides. Amazingly, Wellington, I say that not in a disrespectful way at all, but having looked at it last season and this season, you wouldn't have expected Wellington to perhaps finish quite so high. They are right up there with Canberra United at the moment in a fight for second place. Adelaide United could also finish second. Be a bit more difficult for Brisbane Roar to get it, but they're right up there. And Central Coast Mariners are not guaranteed to be in the playoffs just yet, because both Melbourne Victory and even Perth Glory, who are unlikely but possibly there. So any of those 8 teams could still find themselves in the playoffs. A lot to come from that one. And the final matches that will be taking place this weekend, I believe. Yep, 3rd of April. Wellington have got Adelaide United, which you would think is a game they would be able to win, but Perth Glory playing Melbourne Victory. Central Coast Mariners playing Sydney. Canberra United have got Brisbane Roar, which is quite a big one there. And the Newcastle Jets will play Melbourne City. Now, like we just said, Melbourne City are through. They've got, no need to worry about that. They could probably rest a few players if they really wanted to. But it looks incredibly exciting in terms of getting to the playoffs. How are you seeing the A-League? I love it when it gets to this point of the season for them. What are you thinking, Freya?
There we go. Yeah, I think the gap in the table, and I think the fact that after, between 2nd and 7th, really, isn't it? They're so bunched up and they're so together. I think this last match at the weekend is going to really throw the cat amongst the pigeons, but that's what makes it exciting, and that's what keeps the people coming back to watch how it goes. So yeah, no, I'm excited to see how it turns out. I think again I've struggled keeping up with the league just because of times and stuff, and not really seeing much live. And I think, I don't know if it's just my algorithm, but unless I'm specifically looking for it, I don't see much from the A League at all. So definitely something to consider. Making sure I'm on the right side of the algorithm for the future. But yeah, Melbourne City have done so incredibly well this season, and you're just looking at what was I looking at? Just looking at the stats and things like that, and you just think this has been a very tight season. So yeah, can't wait to see who does get through, because there's only 2-3 points in it for that final qualification bit for the next step of the league. So yeah, anything can happen this weekend, and that's what we like to see.
Really, really could. And Liberty, to throw that same question to you, what I think is incredibly interesting about this is that, of course, last season Melbourne City won the Premiers, were crowned the Premiers, sorry, and they are going to be crowned the Premiers this season as well. Central Coast Mariners, unless I forget completely, finished 6th in the division, so they literally just got into the playoffs and then went on to win the whole thing. Now, obviously, they've tried to thinking we'll just repeat that, shall we? Because they currently sat 6th. So it just goes to show unlike some places, France, you can have a playoff system, and this is one of those leagues where literally anybody could walk out as the champions at the end.
Yeah, it's like the NWSL in that sense. Same thing happened there last season. The team that finished last were the team in the final. At last, as in the last of the playoffs, not last overall, because else there'd be no point of having the playoffs. I think that playoff systems work in specific leagues based on factors that are specific to those leagues. Somewhere like France, it's not going to really work because you've always had such a distinguished top dog, if we put it that way, that it doesn't have the same effect as the NWSL or the A-League. You say that the Central Coast Mariners are 6th right now with that one game left, but there are Victory could finish above them, and who was below Victory? Perth Glory mathematically could also finish on 27. So you've got 7th and 8th still well within a chance of getting that 6th spot if Central Coast Mariners were not to pick up any points in the final game. This is a league where if you don't know the league or you aren't aware, it's a league that is demanding professionalization for its players and its teams. It is demanding investment. It's a league where players, unless you are the very best, are taking second jobs still in 2026 just to pay the bills and still play football because the league is not fully professional. But it's also so interesting that so many teams can still be with the shout of the playoffs. It's not like there's very clear separation. It's not like the top 3 are really good and then everyone else is sort of middling. It is close throughout those. Well, even I say 1st to 8th based on who can mathematically still go to the playoffs, but 9th, who are second, Newcastle Jets, are only on 23 points. So even though they mathematically can't make the playoffs at this point because you can't get 4 points in football, I don't know if you know this, they are still very close to, I know it's really annoying, isn't it? They are still close to Perth Glory and Melbourne Victory and the Central Coast Mariners. It is a league that is consistently competitive, and it's not like some leagues that are trying this playoff system to make it more interesting when really you're just making the same winners every time. So I think that it just shows that, as I said, once again, it is a league that needs proper investment, proper professionalization throughout the entire league, not just 1 or 2 teams that can do really well in both the league and also in the Asian Women's Champions League. Is that what it's called? I think so. You need consistently to make this, because you don't want a team that can do really well in the Asian Women's Champions League and the A-League and then a team that has no money because it's not been invested in properly. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be equal to keep it being a very competitive league and also professional. It needs to take that next step forward sooner rather than later, especially if we want to continue to develop and grow the next generation of Matildas after a home World Cup and a home Asian Cup at this point, where Australia may not have won either, but they got to the semi-finals in one and the final in another. It needs homegrown investment in the league to feed into the Matildas and beyond to push Australia to that final step in winning a trophy again.
No, very fair indeed. Sipiware had a I checked it again just to make sure I'd said it right as I went there. They've not done well is the answer to this question. Their last 2 games, they lost 2-1 away to Mixto, which I think is a great name for a football team, And then they lost at home to Corinthians, which I think is to be expected. They are certainly one of the teams that you've all heard of, I'm sure, from Brazil. So that was the 27th of March. So it's not looking ideal. Currently 15th in the division after 5 games. But it's not terrible either. So, they were the runners-up in Serie A too. And so as a result, not necessarily expected to set the world alight, but they are holding their own, the mighty Botafogo. So we shall see how they get on. We'll be looking at our American sides in just a moment. We're going to have, I'm going to say this, and I know that I don't know why I'm saying it, but I will say it anyway. We're going to have a bit of a quick fire around the league and leagues rather, and sort of see how we get on. They're not favourites, we know that, because not even England are favourites for the World Cup. Isn't that right? So, right, let's go to France first of all, because that one's nearly over. I'm not going to put this to individuals. If you've got nothing to say about it and you don't want to talk about it, feel free to not. If you've got something that you're itching to throw out about that league, do it. All right. So we're going to start off with and I found it's much easier to Google now and I won't say it right, with the Arkema Premier League, or the Arkema. I'm not sure. When I say Arkema or Arkema, it sounds very Batman-esque. I don't know why. It feels, I don't know how I've gone on that tangent, but nonetheless, they are very nearly over. They've got 3 games left to play, a bit like the WSL in that respect. Lyon are the winners in terms of they will have won the division come the end of the 22 games. Paris FC can only get 9 more points, and that will only take them to 48. So they'll be 5 points behind Lyon, who are, like I say, the champions in that respect. But of course, because France wants to have the illusion that there is a team other than Lyon that could win it, they are opened up to the top 4. And that will, of course, be not just Paris FC, but Paris Saint-Germain, who've had a little bit of a resurgence from the beginning of the season, and Nantes at the moment, who are 4th. Dijon Mustard are on 30 points. They could still break into that top 4, as can Fleury, really. But they are going to have to win every single one of their games and hope that the teams in the top 4 do not, in order to be able to jump in. So that's the French league as it stands. Just forgot to talk about the bottom. Montpellier, a good win from what I remember against Marseille, which was quite good. 3 teams on 12 points, by the way. So that is quite a relegation battle as it goes on there. But yeah, very, very big. Did anyone forget to mention Wilms got a hat trick of assists?
I said she was brilliant. That counts, right?
There we go. That counts. So yeah, go for it. Anything you want to say about Le Francais?
PSG, despite their point reduction, obviously they had 5 points taken off them because they fielded an eligible player, are back up to 3rd. Hang on, let me fact check that. I don't know if it's actually 1 point. No, it is actually 1 point. 1 point off Paris FC, which is expected because they are the second best team in France, but also to have 5 points deducted from you and then make it back up to 2nd by the end of the season is decently good. I think it will be a step too far for Dijon to make the top 4 because they still have to pay. The next game is against Lyon away, and then they host Paris in the second to last game. I think they will need points from those to get that the 6th. Their last game of the season is Marseille away, so maybe that is where they're looking to pick up points. But I just think it's too much of a step at this point to get into that top 4, despite a really good improvement from last season. Oh no, why did I think they finished further down last season? They finished 4th last season. I thought they finished way further down. Excuse me. But still, a disappointment because they finished 4th last season and they won't finish it in this season. But they did win 2-1 at the weekend. PSG jumped. Wait, Barry, can you say the Not
Nonce.
Not
Nonce. Thank you. That's the one I struggled with last time. PSG jumped Nantes in the table with a 2-1 win away from home, which means they're now third. They were fourth. And I think they will probably look to jump even Paris FC. But they play Paris FC in the Coupe de France, the French Cup, on the 4th of April. Couldn't figure out my months there. That is their next game, which could be very interesting because I don't really know. You can call who's going to win that one. Sorry, I was trying to find the other thing I have to say is about Montpellier, but I am trying to find the
Well, they won 2-1 against Marseille, didn't they?
yes, but didn't they play
I
at
was
the
just feeling
Velodrome?
time with the team. That was it. That was all I could add to the conversation.
Was not
Was
this
I knew-
their first game at the Velodrome? Velodrome. Hang on a second, sorry, I'm trying to find it because I wanted to fact check myself without looking like a dipper. Hang on. I'm trying to Google as quick as possible.
What gets me on that one is they're bottom of the table, but their goal difference is better than the two above them.
Oh, it's Marseille. Sorry, I'm getting myself confused. I'm looking up Montpellier, but I actually want to be looking up Marseille. It was Marseille's first game at the Velodrome. Seems that's their big stadium, and that's why I can't find it. And they got a good crowd, some 20,000 odd, I think I read. Their first time ever playing there. Very good. They did lose to Montpellier, so I was getting confused because I'm looking up the wrong M team, but a very good crowd for your first ever time in the big stadium. Hats off to everyone at Marseille for drawing in such a crowd, especially when you're a team that are not doing the best in the league, that maybe you're thinking the crowd will be lesser because nobody wants to watch it, but 20 odd thousand, I think it was just under 20,000, I think it was like 19,800 something, but 20 odd thousand is a very, very good return, and a good game. 2-1, they were in it for most of it. It's not like they were thrown to the wolves, so well done.
Yeah, nothing to say there about the bottom three. Then that confuses me. I know I'm looking at this currently on Google, but Montpellier are bottom of the table, but their goal difference is the best out of the three teams.
Well, mine doesn't say that they're bottom.
What, Montpellier?
Mine says
Montpellier bottom. Yeah.
Mine says they're
See,
10th.
that would make more sense, but mine definitely doesn't.
No, Saint Etienne are 10th.
Is it gone on?
And Lyon 11th.
Hang on, let me change short. Mine's gone on goal difference. I don't know. This is going to be impossible to see. It's gone on goal difference.
There you go.
Mine's saying more. Yeah, but mine's saying the same, but then putting Montpellier in 10th because their goal difference is better at -14.
That would make sense. So,
yeah, I think.
God knows what's going on with Google.
I don't know.
That's right.
Montpellier 12.
Yeah, so it's the same numbers, but it's just mine's put it in the right order.
Stupid Google. Sort it out. Run billions of pounds and you can't even add up properly. Stupid Google. They've been useless as of late. Anyway, I'm taking it for a not much to add to that.
No, I was just going to say it's going to be who can escape, because from that relegation battle, because obviously it's the bottom two, isn't it, that goes down. So out of the three that are on the same points, very, very fine margins indeed with the next games coming up. So yeah, see who can pull off that escape.
So yes, we would think that Lyon would be the side to go on and win this, but of course, there's lots of leagues going on across Europe. One of the ones that we look at fairly regularly is the Frauen Bundesliga, and it will be no surprise to anyone either that this one is over as well, effectively. 26 games are usually played. I mean, there are 5 games left to play, meaning that Wolfsburg can go to 63 points, which is 2 points more than Bayern. But Bayern, of course, have got the same number of games to play. So what we're basically saying is that Bayern Munich are 1 win away from winning the Frauen Bundesliga again. Crazy, really. This seems to be another one of those leagues where not a lot is really happening at the top. The bottom again looks far more interesting. You've got Karl Zeiss Jena, who are on 11 points, and Essen on 12 points, and Hamburg are on 15. So for me, the bottom of the table looking far more interesting than the top. But that's Germany for you. Open to discussion. Anyone got anything they want to say about Germany?
Did anyone see the crazy game between Wolfsburg and Union Berlin yesterday?
I did not, but did we have somebody in goal that we maybe wouldn't have expected to go in goal, Liberty?
It was crazy. At one point, it was 2-1 to Union, and then it was 2-2, and then it was 3-2, and then it was 3-2 to Wolfsburg. Then Wolfsburg had Stina Johannes sent off for a professional last man foul inside the 80th minute, like 85 or something. Hang on, I'll actually fact check myself before I get that wrong. Hang on, I'm going to read you the timestamps for the goals. Union went up 1-0, 43 minutes. 45 plus 1, Wolfsburg equalise. 62nd minute, an own goal for Wolfsburg put Union 2-1 up. Then the 78th minute, they went 3-1 up. Bad day of defending for Wolfsburg, but it's fine because Camilla Cuver, I want to say Cuver, she scored an own goal. It's fine. Scored on the other end to make it 3-2, and then they then have 3 minutes after that, they're 3-2 down. Sydney Hannes gets sent off, and they have no more subs. They've used all the subs. And so Jelena Minga, always get that wrong, Minga, slips on the gloves, puts on a goalkeeper shirt, and goes in goal. I think it's probably because she's the tallest, and also she's a defender, so it kind of makes sense. But for the last, ended up being nearly over 10 minutes, she was in goal. And Wolfsburg get 3-3 equaliser to finish 3-3. Just crazy game. Own goal. Keeper sent off, all of the above. It does mean, though, that Frankfurt could finish second. They are 6 points off of Wolfsburg. They have played an extra game over Wolfsburg, but it's not impossible. They won 2-1 after going 2-0 down on Saturday against Köln. They are a team that have missed their Asia Cup players quite a lot. So really interesting that they managed to get a win after, obviously, as I said, the Häcken loss. And Bayern won 2-0 with Natalia Bidas from Poland scoring. She's got quite a good run at the moment. Sub mostly. But scoring when she is coming on, she actually started the game at the weekend and scored. Just to anyone is keeping up with some Polish football. Very interesting that she's getting some good minutes now after everyone was saying she was not going to get anything, and she didn't for a while. But yeah, it's not over yet in Germany, but I think it's probably more likely that Frankfurt finish third again than catch up with Wolfsburg. But if Wolfsburg keep throwing away games and nearly losing like they did to Union, who have had a very good first season in the Frauen Bundesliga, anything could happen. Union are, despite once again being promoted this season, 9th. They are 15 points off of relegation. So they are very comfortable. Let's get some good English. Very comfortable mid-table after being promoted. Very, very, very good for them. Yes, Buell is injured, has been for like a month. And yes, Couture, Natalia Padilla-Bidas, is that not what I said? And probably most of the Frankfurt players will not stay if you look at the state of the club.
Oh, so it's not like Hammerby all over again. So there we go. Freya, I don't know if you've got anything you want to add to Germany, but it just feels like as we travel around Europe, really what we're talking about is Champions League finishing and qualification for next season in a lot of these places. It seems that pretty much all of the divisions have got their title sewn up. I mean, France, obviously, top 3 will qualify for Europe, but it looks like being Lyon, yes, they've got to get through the playoff. Germany, Bayern Munich are going to win it, so now it's between the other 2 teams. Spain will get to win it, but Barcelona have won that one. England, City have won that one. I haven't looked at Portugal, to be fair, but they get 3 as well. Italy is a bit closer, to be fair, but still looks fairly one-sided in the grand scheme of things. And of course, Sweden get their top 3 as well. That would have already been decided, though, I would have thought, because that'll be from the one that's just been. So that's definitely sorted, the top 3 on that one. So yeah, and anything you want to add on that one, Freya? Because it just seems, I don't want to say boring, but because that's a Sean word to use, to be fair, but it's not as exciting as it could be in terms of the titles.
No, you just wish more leagues would have that, at least that second team that were pushing on and putting pressure on the first team. But yeah, I think really if you're looking at the European places, especially the third European place in the Bundesliga, there's still a couple of teams that could technically get there. It's still mathematically possible. So, and I think still reaching Europe is still such a fantastic opportunity that you think maybe most clubs are thinking, okay, well, the leagues may be a little bit out of our reach this season, but let's go for Europe. Let's take that challenge. And if you can prove to your club that you're Europe worthy, if you like, then maybe the investment's going to come in from that way instead of waiting for a league title or waiting for winning a cup or something like that. So, yeah, I think the European places, in some respects, maybe have a bit more weight to them for some clubs, because it's that extra bit of experience, extra bit of quality. And if you can say to prospective players, "Hey, we've qualified for Champions League, we're going to be in Europe," that's a much bigger selling point than, "Oh, well, we're nearly there." So yeah, it's massive, especially with a lot of clubs are going to have very busy windows this summer as well. So, yes, good perspectives all around.
Yeah, very, very busy indeed. I can confirm that in the Dutch league currently, PSV are top of that division, only 1 point clear of Twente, who are only 1 point clear of Ajax, who are only 3 points clear of Feyenoord. So, yeah, the Dutch league, perhaps we should start looking at that a little bit more towards the end of this season, because that definitely looks like there's a bit more excitement going on there. Meanwhile, over in Bonnie, Scotland, you can take the high road, I'll take the low road, but Glasgow City will be there for ye on that one, because Glasgow City are still top of the Scottish Women's Premier League, 4 points clear of Celtic, who are level on points with Hearts. So yeah, that's another interesting one there. Celtic got a goal difference of plus. This is on the actual Scottish Women's Premier League one as well. They've got a goal difference of plus 37. Hearts have got a goal difference of plus 47. Yeah, but for reasons I will never understand, apparently that doesn't count. I'm going to have to start showing you. Maybe it's my computer. Maybe it's just decided it doesn't want to work today. But that quite clearly states that Celtic are in second place, but don't have...
Celtic have 4 more points than... Glasgow City have 4 more points than Celtic.
Yes, but Celtic do not have any more points than Hearts, and that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, sorry.
Absolutely
Sorry.
fine. For a minute there, I
was
thought you were
thinking,
schooling
Harry, are you even reading this properly? Yeah, I don't know that one. Maybe it's alphabetical. That's the only thing I could think of.
They can't do it for alphabetical when they haven't even gone through goal. If they have, then this is why Scotland is having problems. I'm sorry, you can't be doing that. That's outrageous. That would be Scotland the Brave. That would be Scotland the Mad on that one. So there we go. That's the answer to your questions on there. Right, again, quick fire. Liga F, it's going to be Barcelona, isn't it? They're 13 points clear of Real Madrid. There's still 6 games to play in that division. So it's not officially over. But yeah, I think we're both agreeing on, or I say both, you both, all agreeing that's going to be Barcelona all over again.
Yeah, they're too good, annoyingly so. And there were a lot of questions at the beginning of the season where they barely had a squad.
Like we were a little bit shocked because at the beginning of the season we were all like, "Oh my god, they might not even."
Because didn't they just have 17 players at one point? And everyone was like, "Well, how are they going to go through all season?" But they've got, I know they've had a few youth players come through from Barca B, and they've really utilised that. And I think what it's actually forced them to do is look at the players within their squad who they already had, but who maybe weren't starring enough because they had these other names, and now they've gone. They've actually had a chance to come through and shine and actually show what they can do. So I think it just shows their depth and the quality they had in their depth. The fact that people who were on the bench or who were super subs can now actually be starters and actually be preferred as starters now. So yeah, they're just a completely different beast to Barcelona. Yeah.
Completely agree. And there's like some games they just like roll out all the kids and like then they're like also and Marta Torreon in defense, and you're like, oh my god, you are a bunch of children. And also Torrejon, it's like Jesus, okay. But it is impressive what they have been able to do with such a small squad, and also a testament to the recruiting for Barca B to have these kids that genuinely are the next big thing in mostly Spanish football, but also, and there are some non-Spaniards doing so well, especially when we consider they've not had Ballon d'Or 3-time winner Aitana Bonmati now for 5 months. And they're still doing incredibly well. Unfortunately, the update on, sorry to interrupt, the update on Emilia Simiak is that she tore her ACL about 3 weeks ago, playing for Barca B, in like her 3rd game back from that shoulder injury. So she's out now for 9 months, 10 months, whole year, which is a real shame when you consider that she had no time at Liverpool, hurts her shoulder, has to recover from shoulder surgery, gets back in at Barca B, and also she was always going to be in the Poland squad. That's not that was never up for debate because she is one of the best players in Poland, but is played the last international break, and then tore her ACL for Barca B about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So really shame for her development at such a young age, but also what Poland are going to look like in this double header against Ireland without her is going to be really interesting because she has been a very consistent player in the back line amongst turbulent times between other defenders being injured. She was always there. She was a massive player in the Euros when she was changing between partners because of injury. She was a stable force. And so now the fact that she's out is going to make for a really interesting backline for Poland against Ireland. And it's probably a blessing in disguise that they have this double header against Ireland instead of a game against France or the Netherlands, because it does mean that they have a chance to re-look at the back line without her. But Ireland are not going to be easy. They're going to want points and get off the mark in this group. So yeah, unfortunate update. Unfortunately, I wish I had better news, but unfortunately not.
Me too, but yes, it's not ideal. Right, we've got 2 more leagues left to go. Serie A is the penultimate one of those. Roma currently top of the pops there with 40 points. Inter Milan with 34. So a 6-point differential there with 5 games remaining. So still not necessarily decided. The form guide is slightly more with Roma than it is with Inter Milan at the minute, but it's tight in that respect. Juventus are in third on 29. They're not going to win the title, but could, of course, interrupt second place for sure and become runners-up. And again, talking about top 3 spots for Champions League, Lazio, Napoli and Fiorentina. And, I mean, technically, if you go in mathematical, still with 15 points left to play for, Como and Milan, AC that is, still very much in with a shout for that one as well. So, for lots of teams, they're still with a sniff of something this season.
Yeah, and that's what I really enjoyed about the league this season because, yeah, you've got your big hitters, and Roma have looked really, really good. It was the second leg of the semi-finals of the Coppa Italia at the weekend, and it was Roma-Inter, and Roma just completely dominated and won that one. So having that battle of first versus second really kind of showed where the two teams were and why Roma are so far ahead. So that's going to be Roma Juventus in the final for that one as well. But yeah, I mean, looking at the points, there's actually, I think this is probably the league that between first and second and third is actually the biggest gaps that we've seen so far. Because yeah, just a lot of inconsistencies. If you look at, if anyone's interested, the how many games they've won, drawn, and lost are so varied. Between the top 4, 5, 6, really. So yeah, I think that really shows that the league is a lot more open than some of the others, which has been fantastic to see. I mean, I'd love Lazio to get that third spot and to qualify. And next week I'm going to be at the Inter Lazio game, so hopefully some good football there at the weekend. But yeah, it's a really good league. Napoli have done incredibly well this season, and just I feel sorry for Genoa right at the bottom, because them, Parma and Ternana all got promoted this season, and they're the ones fighting. If the relegation group was still a thing, they would all be in it. But yeah, I just think there's some really, really strong quality football, and it's just a sign of how far the leagues come in and how much has developed over the last season.
Not having that promotion relegation group, so actually this must be something that's been quite helpful in terms of it looking as competitive as it does right now, because usually there would be that split, as you say, and it's not
very much so. Yeah, because then you're still being competitive and still going against those top teams. You're not, limited to, oh well, these are the teams around you, just play them again. So yeah, it keeps up that standard right to the end of the season. So yeah, Giuliano's goal against Inter at the weekend was very good. If anyone wants to watch a good goal back.
Absolutely. Well, in the interest of Liberty's playing, we're not going to let her talk about Serie A, so she's just going to have to live with that one. If she's that desperate to talk about it, she can have a chat next week. But she had the Damallsvenskan, so there we go. Instead, we're going to go over to America, and we've got some people already talking about that. Jurelli doing well at Bay FC, who, of course, Claire said is going to be her team this year. And Emily just saying how much fun that'll be for you to go.
And it's on my birthday as well, so doubly exciting. So
amazing. So there we go. Good stuff happening there. But the NWSL, as you know, we have inherited 2 teams this season, which is what we're looking at here, along with Botafogo, which is, of course, our I nearly made the mistake of calling it WFC there. I have now said it, so people will know that's what I was going to say. The WOFO, that's our WOFO team of the season for Brazil. We picked 2. We decided we were going to go with both of the newbies in the NWSL, and that is, of course, Boston Legacy and Denver Summit, and they have got 2 wildly different starts to the season, really. Boston Legacy have played just for 3 games, lost all of them, but this weekend they did manage to score their first goal in the NWSL season. and it wasn't a bad one either, really. It was quite a good game for the most part. I did watch it. Utah Royals, Utah? Why am I calling them Utah? Utah Royals doing incredibly well. This is a team who struggled massively, I think it's fair to say. Last season, they were at the foot of the table and struggling. Well, not quite at the foot because Chicago Stars were doing that, but they were pretty much there with them. And a much better season for them as well. But it wasn't enough for Boston Legacy, and they are currently the only side sat on 0 points, whereas Denver Summit are sat in 8th place, which is, of course, the cut-off point for the end of season playoffs. Now, it's a long, long way away in that one, to be fair. There are still another 26 games to be played, and there'll be a lot of movement happening there. But massive for them. They have won 1, drawn 2, and lost 1. One of those games that they drew was a bit of a snooze fest, I do have to be honest. The weekend, a 0-0 draw against Washington Spirit, which is not bad, actually. Washington Spirit, a very good NWSL side who are certainly giving teams a run for their money. So that was a big one. But equally as big is Angel City, sitting at the top of the NWSL at the moment after a superb start to the season. 1-0 down against Houston Dash. They came back to win it 2-1 with Svindis Jonsdottir scoring the winning goal, and it's a banger, by the way. Ball comes off the bar, she gets it back, having took the throw in the first place that led to the shot, and then a little snake around in the box, and then poof, in goes the ball. An absolute banger, that one. So lots going on in America, but yeah, we'll focus mostly on how we think these new teams are bedding in. I'm loving the fact that there are more teams playing. I think it's great already. It's added a different dimension to it. And I think that for all of the American League being one of the ones that shows the ways forward in terms of getting more people into the crowd maybe and more people attached to the game, I've never been a fan of having a closed league where there's no relegation and no promotion. Having these 2 brand new teams, I think has, and it's a strange thing to say because I only found the NWSL really last season, but it's injected a new lease of life into the division, because all of a sudden now there's these 2 unknowns of these 2 teams that are brand new and have got so much. Even just listening to the commentators, I mean, it does get through you just a little bit listening to them. They're looking for the first goal that they've scored in the season. They're looking for a first home win in the history. Of course, it's in the history. They've only played 3 bloody games. What's wrong with you? Honestly, come on. But they get so excited about it, and you've got to love that. So open to you guys. What are we thinking of the Legacy and the Summit?
I think you've missed the big one, is that Denver beat Gotham away they play in New York, New Jersey, 2-0. Gotham have had a terrible start to the season by everyone's standards for a team of Gotham's talent and history. They are 9th, but they have only scored 1 goal, won 1, drawn 2, lost 1, and the 2 draws were 0-0s against Orlando Pride at the weekend, yesterday, this morning, technically yesterday their time, and 0-0 against the North Carolina Courage. And their only win was the opening game win against Boston Legacy. Really terrible start. Brighton hasn't played because I read that her visa wasn't ready yet. But yes, she hasn't played after joining them on loan from Chelsea. Then we'll join them permanently at the end of the season, blah, blah, blah. But that's a huge win for a team as expected to have success as Gotham. To win 2-0 in your first 3 games is very good. But yeah, I think Denver have steadied the ship in their opening 4 games. To have 5 points from that is very good for a team that literally is brand new. Obviously, a head coach that us English heads are very familiar with in Nick Cushing. Very interesting that maybe he's another one of the managers who is going to excel more in the NWSL than the WSL. I'm thinking also of Jonas Eidevall, whose San Diego Wave are in second on goal difference right now.
Of
and
course,
some others.
she can be credited for all of the things that are happening at Man City currently, having laid the foundations.
I'm not saying nothing. But yeah, very impressive to be in 8th already, up there with, teams that won trophies in the last 2 seasons. They are tied on points with the Orlando Pride, who did the double, not last year, the year before. Robert Villahan is doing really well. Portland Thorns as well. That's also what I was thinking of, but I'm not supposed to be talking about Portland, but yeah, I think Boston, I think maybe they will be disappointed themselves to have nothing at this point, but at the same time, they've played Houston, who are having a really decent start to their season. They are the one. Gotham's win was against them in the opening game, and they did go down to 10. So maybe the positives we're looking at is both the Utah loss and the Gotham loss are only by 1 goal. If we're looking for positives in Boston season, and there's very much things to build from on that. But the thing with expansion teams is you do have to have the foundations to build off of, and maybe this is their first. Excuse me. This is them building the foundations. Unfortunately, though, their next game is midweek against San Diego, who are, as I just said, having a very, very good start to the season. But then after that, they play Chicago, who are down in 14th. So maybe that's where they can pick up their first points. Or they could surprise everyone and pick up 3 points against San Diego, because that's how the NWSL rolls. Sometimes it throws a curveball at you don't expect. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say Denver have done incredibly well. And I knew as soon as the kits were released, like Denver's kit, and I know Katura said it earlier, but Denver's kit looks so nice. They've done so well. I think Boston have got they're promising. They've got potential, and you can kind of see it in the especially their opening game. I thought was very, very good. So I just think they're going to need a bit more time to settle, whereas Denver have really, really gone for it. But yeah, I just want to shout out Denver's NWSL record attendance, because it was their first home game, obviously ever, at the weekend. 63,004 people. 63,000.
So can I just clarify? That's the record attendance for the NWSL, not
NWSL record attendance, yeah.
Okay.
For their first ever home game.
Is it not a league? Is it not a club league attendance record? Because it's bigger than Arsenal's. Arsenal, it would have been United 2 seasons ago, because we're only 60,700 and something. But the overall record in club football is Barcelona versus Wolfsburg at the Camp Nou in the semi-finals of the Champions League. But I'm led to believe that this is a league record across the world at 63,000.
Oh, it could well indeed. It was just said as NWSL record attendance, but yeah, I'm sure, because you're right, 63. It's just got that edge, hasn't it? So yeah, we can definitely fact check that. But I mean, that's
a number of people.
Incredible, yeah. But their marketing, like, there's so many things that, and I know because NWSL clubs are more independent, so they've got more say in what they can do in the merch and their promo and stuff. But you just think if some of our WSL teams could take on just a little bit of what the NWSL does in terms of outreach and merch and just building up a community, I could probably tell you more what those clubs stand for and their values and what they bring than some clubs in the English clubs. And it's just, I wish we could take a bit more of that, because it would just be so much better if we could do it. So
the 63,000 only saw a 0-0 draw. I didn't say that to be funny. I mean, but genuinely, like,
what would you want a refund? For...
I mean, I watched part of the game. I didn't watch all of it. Again,
not all 0-0s are terrible though. Some 0-0s are.
It wasn't outrageously terrible, but like you for your first home game, you'd be hoping that there's excitement and thrills and spills or something to try and attract them back again. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's annoying because Melissa Kostler, who we need to shout out as well, got 3 goals in 3 matches.
Yeah.
And then this is the one that she didn't score in, and you just think, if this could be the one, then it would be incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, very true here. Used to 63 at Fulham. That's about the same amount that we've had as well, to be fair. I suppose the last question I'll add on this one, I don't expect you lot to go too far on all of this, but it's just because you've just mentioned that about the record attendance. There was a lot of chat about where teams play their football in the WSL, for example, in the last one. United losing to City and losing to Bayern, having had 2 matches at Old Trafford, only 7,500 in the Champions League match, almost 12, about 25,000 in the game against City. We know through Liberty and her team how well they do at getting fans into the Emirates quite regularly. Have we not reached a point where actually that should just be like the rule now, that people should just be playing in the main stadium? Because for me, I don't think you're going to get more people every week at Old Trafford than you will do at LSB, for example.
I'm not sure about playing every week because a club like West Ham, aren't playing at the London Stadium at all, but will not get nearly as many fans as United, or if they played every week at Old Trafford or wherever. But look, last week we had, I'm not going to name names, but a decently well-known journalist and person in women's football complaining about the attendance at Arsenal Chelsea at the Emirates because she expected more. We play Chelsea like every 3 bleeping days, mate.
Yeah.
And she was like, it should be more. It's not enough. I'm thinking, mate, we play them all the time. We have a North London derby at the weekend. We played West Ham there the weekend before. Give us a bloody break. We're doing as much as we can. And 20,000 midweek is still really good and much more than some clubs would get on a weekend. I think attendance politics and attendance discourse is like really boring because I was like, it's so individual to each club. What I don't think we're at a point where everyone needs to play at the main stadiums yet, but what I would hope that is when it's right for the club that they make that step. If it is the right time for your club and you're the higher ups at United or City or West Ham or Liverpool, that you make that step when it is right for you and don't be pressured to do it too soon. I have name them. I don't want to make nemesis, but it was Flo Lloyd Hughes. I don't really care actually. Sue me. So we're looking at, there are reports, ironically, from Flo Lloyd Hughes that Chelsea are looking at making Stamford Bridge their permanent WSL home next season because they supposedly regularly sell out Kings Meadow. I just don't know. I just don't want teams to be pressured into doing it because other clubs have done it. That it's not the right time for you. Just do it when it is right for your club and your team, and don't feel the need to because Arsenal have already done it or Chelsea might do it, because you don't want to have to then backtrack on your decision because actually it wasn't the right time and you jumped the gun too soon. That's my only concern. But if you play more games there every season, you play 8 WSL games there each season, then you go, actually, we get a decently good crowd at every game, then you up it a bit more, and then you up it a bit more. Like, obviously, last season, Arsenal didn't play every single game at the Emirates. We didn't play the Palace game and the West Ham game there in the WSL. And so we had, 10 out of 12 games there.
I do think it depends. You're not necessarily going to get there every week because obviously you're sharing the stadium with the men, so they're going to have to.
It's a lot of it's a lot
calendars and all
of
that sort of-
planning.
But I think this is a big thing. Like United being at LSV, it's just not accessible for lots of people. You know that the people that want to go and watch Manchester United or want to go and watch at Old Trafford, you would think. I mean, what's going on at Villa? Are they still playing at Walsall for the most part?
No. So Villa are at Villa Park all the time. They're only at Bescott for cup games, and sometimes. But the what actually leads on quite nicely there is we thought the Villa jump was too soon, because now they're going, okay, well, how do we grow the fan base? How do we market it? And it's like, well, you should have done that when we're still in Walsall, and then because the atmosphere was so different because it was a small stadium. So now you're trying to replicate that with the same number of people, maybe a couple more. And yes, Villa Park's easier to get to, but there's still some things that aren't there yet.
Have you not seen the growth in the attendance?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there was. I mean, I'll have to get the stats from the weekend, but you're normally looking at about 2,500, which in Villa Park is like hardly anything. But yeah, I think there was. Hang on, Sunday. Bear with. Oh, we're at Leicester, weren't we? Bloody hell. When were we last at home? What is this? Sunday 15. Over there? Yes, we were. Okay, so against Man City, it was 3,388 at Villa Park, which is empty. So yeah, I wish they'd built it up a bit more before making that switch, because it is the experience, and you go for to be a Villa fan, you want to go to Villa Park, but yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of backtrack.
I think it's incredibly interesting, and I take on board both of what both of you have said there. But I look even at Stevenage, you know, we get maybe 100 people when we're at the Letchworth ground. We've just had 2 games at our main Stevenage stadium. We've got 715 in the first one, and to be fair, that was, you know, a game against Royston. That was first against essentially second and a potential title decider at the time. So, you know, you're expecting more. We got 450 yesterday. Yesterday against Hutton. So, you know, it's more. And I think ultimately, if you're going to get more people through the door, you don't know until you've tried it, I think is the thing. And actually, I think talking about getting more money into the game, maybe that's something you need to do. But we don't need more money at the moment. What we need is more Zeds, because I'm flagging. It's been I told you it was a long night last night, and I still haven't slept properly. So I'm going to go and do that this evening. Liberty needs to get to bed because she's got a date with Ryanair tomorrow morning. And I think Freya just needs sleep because she's got a kid. That's a full
Hey,
time.
I've got the Wiggles tomorrow. I've got very exciting plans.
Oh, yes, we heard about this. Now, you can Google the Wiggles. It's perfectly safe. So do enjoy. It's great fun. They are not what you thought they were going to be. I was expecting something like the Sweeneys. No. It's like Steps doing 5, 6, 7, 8 meet Rednecks doing Cotton Eye Joe meet the Tweenies.
That's nursery rhymes. Yeah.
Wow, doing nursery rhymes. Yeah, I didn't listen to the music, I've got to be honest. So there we go. So we're going to disappear. But big thank you to you both. A very, very good show. Very much enjoyed it. 2 hours. But we knew it was going to be a lot because it was 2 weeks worth of content that we've thrown into there. We've done incredibly well. So hopefully that's enough for Liberty to get some sleep. So thank you. Appreciate your time. Safe travels. Do you want to tell everyone where you're going? Like not specifically, but you know.
I'm going
hotel.
Here's my exact location. No, I am going to Barcelona in the morning for an unspecified number of days, but mainly to go to the Camp Nou on Thursday for the quarterfinal between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Very, very excited. Camp Nou, like many people, is on my bucket list. And so for it to be the first game back after the renovation, for it to be El Clasico, I'm absolutely buzzing. I can't wait. So that's where I'm going very early tomorrow morning.
Well, safe travels to you, like I say. Enjoy that, and hopefully we'll see you back here next Monday to tell us all about it. Yes, she's not saying no, so that's good. And of course, Frey, you're off to Italy. Does that mean you're not going to be around on Monday?
Yeah, I'm still in Milan next week, unfortunately.
Outrageous behaviour. But when we do get you back,
I'll catch us all at the week after. Don't worry.
So safe trip to you as well. I'm not. I'm going to Enfield, which won't require a passport, a plane, or anything like that. So that's my joy. Who needs Barcelona and Italy when you can have Donkey Lane in Enfield? That's where it's at. I'm telling you. So there we go. Pleasure. It's been a real joy. Thank you so much, all of you in the chat. Thank you everyone that's got involved. It was a brilliant evening. I'm going to make sure I push the right button to see us out professionally like we always do. Night all.